the international stage at the same time. No one has the advantage of being a private citizen anymore. Everyone is the public ambassador on behalf of Islam. And we want to make sure that people are able to speak intelligently and effectively and accurately about the tenets of Islam and Muslims and how Islam is relevant to modern life. If we allow Islam to just be about wudu and to just be about hijab, then we are not relevant to the broader society. We have to show how Islam is relevant to all kinds of issues, from immigration to healthcare to education to international social justice issues. So we do training sessions in local communities across the country to give them the tools so that they know how to answer not the friendly questions about Islam, but the hostile questions about Islam.
I'd just like to ask you, as an example, because now we have this unfortunate news of this Adam guy telling people to accept Islam or else. Many people are going to ask you about that statement. What do you think about that statement? So please give people an example of what we have to say when we are faced with this question. Who is this guy telling us to accept Islam or else? Is that from your religion?
That is absolutely not from our religion. Our religion, through the Quran itself, from the Word of God, says there is no compulsion. There should be no compulsion in matters of faith. So for an individual, any Muslim to say, accept Islam or else, violates the very teaching, the very core teaching of the Quran, which is intended to accept the plurality that exists within human society. The Quran teaches us that we were created in nations and tribes so that we may know one another, not that we may despise one another. And these two verses, just in and of themselves, are incompatible with the way that this Adam Gadan, this young American convert to Islam, is preaching Islam.
But you know, I heard something nice today, and I heard it on CNN. And at first I thought it was a mistake, but when I thought about it, it was very accurate. The CNN announcer, he said this is an American convert to Al-Qaeda. And this was correct.
I think that's absolutely correct. Yeah. That's absolutely correct. And you know, and this guy is from my neck of the woods. He's from Southern California, and it is, you know, I think it is a great shock to the system and a stab to the belly to see when there are American converts to Al-Qaeda. That there have been people who have targeted and have recruited good people, into a way of thinking that is bent on destruction rather than, you know, we see that Islam is a call to life, not a call to death and destruction.
Right. So and like I said, I really like that mistake, because we can say he left the religion of Islam to go to the religion of the terrorists or whatever the ambitions are.
Of destruction,
yes. Sister, thank you very much for your time. But our viewers always like to know a little bit about our guests. So tell us a bit about yourself. Have you always been Muslim, and where do you come from originally?
I was born a Muslim. My parents are from Montenegro, which is part of the former Yugoslavia. My family was not practicing while I was growing up because they came from what was then a communist, socialist nation. And so my parents came to the States in the late 70s. I was actually born in Austria. We came to the States in the late 70s. And I grew up in American society as a non-practicing Muslim whose primary vantage point of Islam was like many Americans. I saw Islam through the television. I saw Islam through the films. I saw negative images that made me question how it was that I was a Muslim by some accident of birth. And so it was only later when I was a student in college and I met young Muslims that I thought to myself, why would they make this choice to remain Muslim away from their parents? And that caused me then to engage in my own process of reading the Quran on my own for the first time, and being truly stunned by what I read, and having to reconsider my own inaccurate perceptions of Islam growing up, which were based again on pop culture rather than on the Islamic sources themselves. And so that, you know, that is where my story sort of, I say that's when I chose to be a Muslim. I was born a Muslim, but I chose to be a Muslim when I was about 19 or 20 years old. And the path has been a good one. And I work now for the Muslim Public Affairs Council. My background is in